And then that's what I think. If you want to do the best whip, bring me there, and you don't need another one. If I don't going to do the best whip, bring me to George. You don't need the cameras and shit. I know what I need to work. I need to work around the track on the same position there with my pen and my paper and check, or my camera, and I don't know, but I can see in less than 30 seconds in a slow motion who wins or not, but I don't need to check the slow motion, you know what I mean? I need to be there. I need to be there and check and say, hey, you win, you second, you third.
So going in order of events at X Games, we're now working on the best whip, this time in the X Games review mini series. So thank you for coming back to hear a few of the comments from guys who definitely know what they're talking about, and a few of our fans of the podcast as well. So thank you for tuning in. I am your host for the Riders Lounge podcast, Steve Sommerfeld, and this time I am joined again by Antonio Navas, who's one of the longest serving FMX riders from Spain. Also, Andy Christie and FMX Grizz, they're back. And actually, we had plenty to talk about when I interviewed Edgar Torrenteras, and his full interview will come out very, very soon. So I've cut some of those parts out of the chat and put them in here, which all seemed very relevant. Edgar actually has won Best Whip Gold, and he's been on the podium a fair few more times as well, and is able to throw out every version of a whip out there with so much style. So you can imagine the disappointment that he had missing out on an invite this year, which seemed a little bit dubious from our chat. And you'll want to make sure to catch the full interview, which will be released after this X Games mini-series is over with all of the other disciplines. And also, I've got a very special guest to join us on this episode to talk about whips. He is a rider that I think should have easily been invited to Best Whip in the past few years, especially after I saw him with my own two eyes about 8 or 9 years ago, throwing out some of the biggest whips I had ever seen, and he was only on an RM 125, Tyler Wakeford from Australia. So it'll be cool to get his insights as a potential rider to compete in X Games Best Whip, maybe next year or in the very near future. And if the right people are listening to this podcast, just jump on his Instagram and search for Tyler, and you'll see why I think he should be there. I won't go into this one too much because I think all of these guys have summed it up pretty much perfectly. But before we do, I'll give you a quick rundown of the results before we kickstart this episode. So in the qualification, Genki Watanabe, he won quali. Tom Parsons, Tyler Berriman, and Axel Hodges, they were the top 4 to go through to the final. And the 3 guys who missed out, very surprising, but there's only 4 that can go through. But it was Jarryd McNeil, who I think was going for some kind of record if he'd won a gold medal in Best Whip again. I can't remember what the record would have been. Anyway, he didn't get it. But pretty crazy to see Jarryd missing out on even getting into the final for Best Whip. Josh Sheehan, another big name with a big whip, he did not get through to the final. And Colby Raha, they're throwing down at Sleigh Ground. He also missed the shot to go through to the final. But who did win overall? So Genki won through to the final, and he won the elimination round. But it definitely wasn't enough when Tom Parsons started throwing out those upside down. Damn, like those seat bounces were just so big. And Tom had everything. He had whips off of every ramp, every type of whip. It was freaking amazing. So yeah, overall winner, Tom Parsons, Genki Watanabe, or Wanky, if you didn't know that's what his name was. And I have had a few people say that. Tyler Berriman in 3rd place overall, and Axel Hodges on his home turf missed out on a Best Whip medal. So that was a little bit surprising. And as much style that went into all of those whips, I think you could say went into brewing the best damn beers in town. And the Rothaus Tenon Zepfler alcohol-free beers, where there are actually almost as many variations to their flavors as what we saw from the riders, throwing turn-ups, turn-downs, big fat whips upside down and inside out and back to front. Right, first up, someone who is probably hanging for a cold cerveza down there in Spain, where it's hot as hell right now, El Presidente, Antonio Navas.
For the best whip, I got really surprised that I didn't see Jarryd McNeil there into the final. He's normally, one of the best, or he is actually one of the best whippers in the world. But of course, you have the other riders like Parsons, Wanky, Hodges, and Tyler. They are really, really good too, so yeah. And I like the double line. I think it's cool, because they could also choose like the 35-meter gap and 23 or 24 or whatever it was ramp. So they could, show different styles, different style of whipping too. Like you could do like turn down in the first one and then turn ups or whipping on the second one. That was kind of cool. I like that a lot. So yeah, and for sure Parsons deserved the first position. He was doing a massive whips there with an awesome style, and Wanky second place for me was worth it too. So yeah, this is what I'm thinking about best whip.
Yep, well, that's pretty much what I was thinking as well with best whip. I couldn't have put it better myself. Now, to go into a bit more detail, let's hear from a young gun who won the last AusX Open event in Australia in 2019, taking the win in the best whip competition over some pretty heavy hitters, and just a good dude all around, Tyler Wakeford.
X Games 2021 best whip was definitely an awesome one to watch. All the boys had huge whips. They're all unreal. All different styles and variations. It was good to see. Definitely feel like it's a bit of a disadvantage for the boys not to have a big crowd to sort of get them in the zone and pump them up to go nuts. So that definitely is a bit of a bummer, but it's just something we've got to deal with, I suppose. But now having the big 105 ramp, that would have been a bit of a challenge for some of the riders, as I believe that the 110 ramp or the 105 ramp was it's really for the boys who can throw up big turn-ups. It's more of I believe it's a four-stroke type of jump. Sheehan was able to pull off some awesome motocross style whips over that, which is cool to see. And Jarryd McNeil, he's got easily one of the biggest and stylish whips in the game. It's always good to watch Jarryd McNeil throw down a whip. It looked like he struggled a bit on the course, maybe with elevation and maybe with course setup. So hats off to the boys. I did hear that the course was challenging, so unreal to see the boys still be able to get upside down and inside out. Having the 105 ramp thrown into the mix was definitely cool to see. I know if I were to go, that would have caught me off guard, so hats off to the boys just sending it over that thing. That thing's massive. Definitely the advantage was for Colby Raha, Tyler Bierman, Axel Hodges. That jump was really for them really talented freerider dudes that can just turn up and throw down on that jump. So me personally, I think turn-up whips are the most complicated and the hardest to do. You can get so unstuck with them real easy. So me personally, I think they're a four-stroke style whip. The four-stroke just has that torque just to pull that bike back and pointing up, and to be able to swing the bike back straight again. I don't think a turn-up is enough to win a best whip. I think what I believe is better is turn downs and seat bounce whips. They're the ones that I like to watch, and I think Tom Parsons probably done one of the biggest whips I've ever seen. They're just so upside down, and Wanky being able to do a turn down and look back at the camera and then swing the bike back. It's just so cool to see. So that's what I go for when when I watch whips, it's seat bounce and turn downs. Turn ups are really cool, but I think they're in if there was like a free ride jam and you get judged off, style, I think that's pretty cool. Overall, I'm pretty stoked that Tom Parsons got the win. He definitely deserved it. Like I said, he just got that bike so upside down, and he deserved the win there. Wanky, yeah, I'm just so good to see him up in second there, because those whips were just unreal. And Tyler Bierman, he's got some awesome whips too. But I think Josh Sheehan deserved a bit more credit, because his whips are just huge as well. I'll tell you what though, Steve, I'd hate to be the guy that judges the winner, because all them boys just throw down the biggest whips. Definitely was a tough one, but overall pretty happy with it. All the boys just done really well on that course. Like I said, course looked a bit challenging, and yeah, with that 105 ramp thrown in the mix, that was definitely a bit of a caught me off guard anyway. That's something that you'd have to sack up and hit, and all them boys did, so it was unreal to see. Pretty keen to see what the future holds. I'd love to see myself in X Games Best Whip in the future and be able to ride with these boys. Awesome.
Knowing how big Tyler goes when he's just riding with his mates at home or out at QMP or anywhere that I've seen him ride, and there's no crowd or X Games medals on the line, I can't imagine how big he'd try and go and get those whips if he made it onto the biggest stage. So let's see if Tyler can get a shot at Best Whip in 2022. All right, I'm stoked to have an old mate of mine return from the good old days when I first started FMX, Andy Christie, to talk about Best Whip. And he also wanted to let everyone know, if you tuned into the previous episode, the pants he lent me for my first ever comp were not actually sweaty. I'm guessing he just thought they smelled like a bed of roses. Anyway, moving on, Andy Christie.
X Games Best Whip was fantastic. Tom Parsons, very deserving winner. I think his style is just so smooth, and he's got so much variety in the way he can whip. Not that the other riders don't, but I just think that his flow is what got him the gold medal. Obviously, Wanky, his turn downs are just insane. I couldn't pick during the competition who it was going to be between him and Parsons, but and then you've got Berriman. His turn ups over that 105 footer are just incredible. It was a real shock not to see McNeil make the final. I guess that just comes down to progression. The other boys have just stepped it up over the last couple of years, and I'm sure he'll use that as motivation for next X Games.
The battle between Wanky and Parsons was the big one by the sounds of it, and this is what FMX Grizz was also thinking when he watched it from the UK.
Coming into Best Whip, this was a competition I thought was going to be the hardest for the judge, because they had some big names up there to judge, and all of them have got unique whips in their own different way. So I was very entwined to see which way this was going to go. Obviously, I've been watching Wanky for the last year on YouTube. He's been putting in a lot of work with the whips, and I was wondering why, and now it all makes sense. I'm stoked for him to take a medal. But yeah, Tom Parsons absolutely smashed it. His whips were just so on point. I think overall on that, I probably would have liked to see more of the boys whipping the 105. But I think it was a good event, and yeah, there were some huge whips going down there.
It's cool to have more input from you guys listening to the podcast. And this time, Danny_FMX also joined us from Austria on Instagram. So thank you so much for jumping in, mate. It's really cool to hear from you guys who are tuning in. And this is what Danny had to say.
What's up, Steve? My thoughts on Best Whip are that it was great to see 2 jumps in a row instead of 1, and also that the guys were able to choose on the second jump. I still wonder why Jarryd didn't make the final, but I have to say I was not able to watch the whole event on YouTube because I'm from Austria and as you might know, it was blocked in Austria. I hope X Games keep going with the two-jump type of event. The guys pushed each other, with Tom deservedly taking the win, which will hopefully keep him in the sport for some more years. With Genki and Tyler completing the podium, in my opinion, the medals were handed out rightfully.
All right, last but certainly not least, one of the longest serving legends in freestyle motocross, and a man who should have been there to ride Best Whip in my opinion, and would have brought way more action to the live stream. The showman, the legend, Banana Face, Edgar Torrenteras.
On the best whips, for me, Parsons win because he's a best whip.
Yeah.
When it's best whip, it's best whip. If you want to make a tar down, do a tar down contest
Yeah.
or a turn up contest. But finally, for example, the second best whip, the huge one, second one, was from Axel.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I get all the slow motions and I film everything and I check all the fucking points and it's like Parsons, Hodges, best whip.
Yeah.
And then one time Birman, he did a good one.
Yeah.
And then McNeil, he did a good one time. I don't know why the other ones was like a pussy. I don't know why.
I was surprised that McNeil didn't get to the final. That was a big surprise, I thought.
Yeah, but if you understand what he did, he don't do that huge whips from years ago. But if you are professional and you know who these guys did,
yeah,
and you can get, if you check all the round of Parsons, you gotta get the best whip.
Yeah.
You take a screenshot. You gotta get the best whips of everybody, and then about that best whips of everybody, you gotta judge who is the most wheels up. You know what I mean? And you can choose who wins, who wins second, third, fourth. But I think McNeil was fourth. I think it's going to be battle. I need to check if I get a screenshot. Birman and McNeil to put on third, fourth.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah.
On the best whip, most high wheels up they did. is a battle. Was for me was Parsons, Hodges, battle McNeil, Birman, because McNeil did one. He did one, a big one.
Yeah.
But Genki on a whip, no. I think it was Sheehan. He did way bigger than Genki.
Yeah.
But then, if we need to check the tar downs, the way bigger was Genki because he did one huge. It's not on that.
Massive.
That they, was massive. That I don't know what's going on with the photographers, but nobody get the shot of that huge one because they put on all the social medias a good one, but not that what I have.
Yeah.
Because I have the screenshot from the round and one was huge.
Oh yeah.
But then talking about the tar downs, Sheehan was the second one, the second bigger.
Oh yeah.
Sheehan, fuck yeah.
Not Axel?
I
thought I saw Axel do a massive turn down as well. Sheehan was bigger.
Depends of the camera.
Yeah, this is
And
true.
Axel,
Exactly.
Yeah, depends of the camera, but the real shit you need to check from back of the ramp. And if, for example, was the same angles because the camera was on the left side when they filmed to Sheehan. but Sheehan did the tar down to the left turn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the camera was on the left. And then on the right side, Hodges, he do to the right side. And then if you check both cameras on the same angle, doing the same position, both was bigger Sheehan than Axel. That's my thing. That's my opinion about what I understand of this.
Yeah.
What I understand of the angles, positions, cameras, and trick was hard or not.
It's
like the, you know what I mean? And then the turn up was the way bigger was Birman.
Yeah, that
more than Axel on this time.
Yeah.
He get a one or two big ones. And then that's what I think. If you want to do the best whip, bring me there, and you don't need another one. If you don't know if I don't gonna do the best whip, bring me to George. You don't need the cameras and shit. I know what I need to work. I need to work around the track, or just on the same position there with my pen and my paper and check, or my camera, and I don't know, but I can see in less than 30 seconds in the slow motions who wins or not, but I don't need to check the slow motion, you know what I mean? I need to be there. I need to be there and check and say, hey, you win, you second, you third.
Well, that's the call right there, because actually you've ridden best whip probably maybe more than anybody. Maybe not the most, but definitely a lot more than most people.
Well, that depends of my mind, because sometimes when I feels I can win but I don't win, I lose, because the second one is the first rider to lose. And then that's when my mind said, hey, or the glory or hospital, and then that's when I gotta do a huge one or not, because sometimes depends of when you do a 3 pounds in the ram and you pull a little bit back to the side, good, and you feel the power in the ram to say yes, now is a huge one. But I think if I go there, I bring a medal. Because the whip is the whip, the tar down is the tar down, and the fucking
turn up is a turn up.
Turn up, yeah.
Actually, the cool thing is, like, I saw the photos at the end of the competition, and looking at Tom Parsons, just the image, the single photo was so big, and I didn't even realize it was that big, probably because my internet was pretty crap and I couldn't really see that much when I was watching at the time. But yeah, I saw the photo. I'm like, man, that was so much bigger than I thought.
I promise you, because Parsons on X Games Norway, before he crashed on that whip, when he crashed, he did the same.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. If you can check on, I don't know, on YouTube, I think you can see it. And you can see the crash when Parsons crashed there. Check that whip.
Yeah.
Was the same. And Parsons, he did one huge, super huge. And he promised, if I can speak with he get the same feeling like in Norway when he crashed, but he don't crash because on this ramp, on this gap, on this landing, he land more down. He belong in the air, and he don't crash because he get time to land good. Because in Norway he leaned like at knuckle, not knuckle, but just there, and he crashed.
Yeah.
You know, and he leaned like 2 meters down. But I know if I speak with he and I say, dude, tell me about this one. Sure, he gotta answer like, dude, Edgar, why you know this? Why you know this? Yes, I feel that fucking shit, same one.
Yeah.
But I don't crash on this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know, and I see that thing. Imagine, and I see the fucking round in my fucking phone. And I know this. Why they don't? Who jokes that shit? You know, bro. It's like, what the fuck,
mate? All I'm really getting out of this is, if you're not riding, you're judging, because sounds like you've put your eye over everything, mate.
And I love to do this, because finally I don't make a favors to nobody, because I know
no favors for anybody.
No. After ride, I make all the favors they want with beers. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Because all riders are my friends, and I love you guys.
That's it.
You know, and you gotta be in super good times with Banana Face, doing whatever. Doesn't matter. But if you guys are still there on the track and I need to Joe's, hey, I gotta Joe's. What you gotta do? That's it.
Well, there you go. If Edgar doesn't get invited, it sounds like he needs to be invited to judge the whole event. And I guess no favors, just beer at the after parties. And speaking of perfect segues, to say a Rothaus 10 and Zepfler would be the best way to do a few favors, with the alcohol-free versions tasting just as good as the full impact brews. There really aren't many riders in the world who have been so involved in the sport as Edgar has been in his entire career from the early 90s, and I'm just pumped that he took the time to join us and he gave a little bit of carry on about X Games, what went down, and actually you can find out why he didn't get his invite very soon. So you won't want to miss that episode in a couple of weeks, the full interview, which will be released here on the Riders Lounge podcast. So what did I think? Well, it's all pretty much been covered perfectly by everybody here. So I don't think you need to really listen to me say the same things over again, because I'm just stoked to see Tom Parsons throw down again, especially after, was it 2 years back or 3 years ago, when he was riding with a thumb throttle after he broke his, I think it was his wrist. He broke it really badly. And imagine trying to ride best whip like you're on a farm quad, trying to get under the bike. That would have been the weirdest feeling ever, you can't even twist the throttle. It's a damn thumb drive. But anyway, he's back. He won gold, and he was looking so damn comfy all the way through. I was a little bit surprised to see McNeil bow out early, like the other guys said earlier. And actually, I didn't realize Sheehan's whips were so big initially, because actually I fell asleep while I was waiting to watch X Games live here in Germany due to the time zones. And I only caught the highlights after, but once Edgar said about it in our chat, I had to go back and watch it. And then, funnily enough, Tyler Wakeford also talking about Sheehan's whips. So that was something that slipped by me. All in all, it was another sweet best whip event. If I could change anything about watching it, it would probably be just to let everybody go wild on Axel's compound. Imagine seeing everybody ride in trains around that whole course, not just what was pegged out for the FMX area this year at X Games. And actually also, maybe bring in a few more riders. Everybody in, jamming. You could have so much more excitement and entertainment with 10 or more riders who could easily be invited, and then whittle down the riders into a final group, or however you want to do it. Either way, best whip, it's still the discipline that makes me want to just dust off the bike and go for a ride. Just like when I was watching Krusties as a kid. Just riding, thinking you're doing the best damn whips ever. Actually, that's one thing. Who is listening and has the same feeling. Like, when you think you're upside down like Tom Parsons, and you're like, that has to be the biggest whip ever, and then you see the video after you ride, and you're just like hanging your ass out doing the worst bum whip ever, and you're like, how the hell could it possibly be so bad when it felt so good? Anyway, I just want to thank everybody who jumped on for today's episode to take the weight off of my shoulders, and they absolutely nailed it. Thank you to one half of the Spanish FMX tandem team who made history at Night of the Jumps last year when they did the first ever full freestyle motocross competition with 2 riders on 1 bike. One half of that was Antonio Navas. Hopefully his partner in crime, Rocky Florenza, is back on the bike soon after injury and they'll be able to compete again. Also, a huge thanks to Tyler Wakeford for jumping on at the last minute as well. I know it feels a bit weird commentating on friends, riding, and also guys that he's probably looking to compete against in the very same competition, hopefully next year. So that was cool that he navigated the job so well. And honestly, I really do hope to see you riding in X Games Best Whip next year. A massive shout out to the guys who have been listening to the podcast and were happy to join in. FMX Grizz, again from the UK, Danny_FMX from Austria, and an old dog who actually can learn new tricks, Andy Christie. And of course, the man who spends more time beatboxing at an FMX show than actually riding it, Edgar Torrenteras. What did you think of Best Whip? Actually, that was the worst attempt at Edgar's beatbox of the helicopter. I don't even know why I tried to go for it. If that sounded good, I'm going to leave it in. If it didn't, I'll probably delete it. Anyway, what did you think of Best Whip? Did you think the right person walked away with the gold medal? If you want to join the chat, jump on to the Riders Lounge podcast Instagram or Facebook pages and shoot through your own voice messages. And if they're good enough, we'll chuck them up on the next episode. I don't know if TikTok has voice messages. I haven't even bothered to look, but that would be cool if they do. Maybe I'll have a little look after this. If you've also got a lot to say, though, WhatsApp might be a better option. So just shoot me through a message and I'll send you my WhatsApp number. And that gives you more than a minute if you've got a lot to talk about. If you would like to share this episode and this podcast with your riding buddies who think they've got the best whip, maybe they've got an opinion on what went down this year as well. So just share that with your buddies. Would be a pretty big help. Right, the next episode that will be coming out even faster than what we've been doing lately because I kind of got held back a little. The next one up will be the all-new discipline at X Games this year, the 110s. What did you think of that one? That was a bit of a surprise for everyone, actually. So let's see what everybody's got to say in the next episode of the Riders Lounge podcast.